Oh, geez. You know, I'll be honest with you, not much. I can't really tell you much about the other countries other than I see everyone as one. I just see everything as a oneness. So in my trance-like states, the only thing that I can remember offhand, unless there's something that my channels have spoken to Joe about that I don't remember, is that I remember being in underground barracks. And I was doing a lot of, I felt like I was surviving. So, I can't really answer.
All right. I understand. What about you, Joe? Have you gotten anything to do with other countries, or are you aware, or has she forgotten anything that both of you maybe were aware of?
You know what? To be honest with you, we haven't really asked about other countries. I know that the whole world as a whole, or the earth as a whole, is going to be affected, like she said, but I don't have anything specific like, in England it's going to be underwater or anything like that. I just know that the whole world is going to be affected by the financial part that's going to fall in communications, and that's all I can speak of. I mean, I can't really go into something I don't know. I mean, honestly, we just haven't researched that.
Yeah, that's my point is, because it is very interesting. It has a lot to do with if you get channeled information, how accurate it is, and also whether or not they're going to only use in other words, they're going to respond to your filter system. And
right.
Your filter
That's my next
to be very focused on, the here and now possibly, and where you resonate to and resonate with. And I see that perhaps you both have quite a focus in the United States.
Right.
That's not the case with channels. You could live in the United States and be channeling a lot of information from overseas, which actually I get a lot of information about overseas from time to time. But it also depends on your filter system, so to speak. But to move on from there, what, if anything, are you getting about off-world situations and black projects?
Well, let me just say that there are what we're getting. Now, I have no way to prove this. This is just what's coming through the channels. And let me first go back to what you were just saying, Carrie, about a channel. I hate to call it a limitation, but one of the things that you'll notice is because of the person's current knowledge base of different countries, locations, vocabulary, the channels come through and use the particular channel's knowledge base to communicate. And if they don't have a wide range of knowledge when it comes to other countries or vocabulary, it's hard for them to communicate. I don't know if you've heard that in the past or not, but it's just something that I personally experienced. So that might be a little bit of a disconnect whenever we're doing this type of a work in the future. But as far as off-worldly things, I really I think that there's several different ETs that are watching, and they're not allowed to interfere, is what they say. They can guide if they are asked to guide, but they can't come in and save us. This is our baby per se, We're here as a schoolhouse, and it's something that we have to do on our own.
Okay, and what about you, Terry? What about any off-world information that you've been getting, and also regarding black projects and that sort of thing?
Okay. Really nothing about black projects. I personally didn't know anything about them until I went out to Arizona and met Cynthia. And when I was out there in Arizona, and the only reason that I knew that was because every time that I was in Cynthia's presence, and I would close my eyes, I would see a reptilian eye in front of me. And I said, what the heck is that? And then she kind of explained the Illuminati principle to me. And like I said, I like to keep kind of ignorant to what other people are saying so that when I am channeling, I feel like that I'm able to say what I'm channeling about without being influenced by other people or other information. So that's the only thing that I have really have experienced about the.
Okay.
The black.
Let me just interrupt you here, because when we were off the air, we talked briefly about you meeting Cynthia Crawford. And Cynthia, we have a video of her doing a presentation at Awake and Aware to a small group of people. She's a wonderful person and a friend of mine as well. And so why don't you talk briefly about Cynthia Crawford and how you kind of met her and were sort of propelled to go visit her. And then if you can talk a little bit about anything else that has been revealed in that regard.
Okay. All right. Cynthia, I met her basically what happened was Joe sent me over a YouTube and told me I had to watch this YouTube about Cynthia, saying that she was a lot like me, the way she was talking and in her speech. So I listened to the speech, and at the very end of the speech, she talked about the ant people. And so right away, because I channeled an ant person at one time and not realized what they were, but it stuck in my head like, what the heck was that? You know, because ETs were every once in a while I was channeling, some time traveler or some strange extraterrestrial would come through and channel through me. And so one of them was an ant person that really, I actually felt what that extraterrestrial felt like. And so when I said to Joe, I want to go meet her. And so he called her up, and she was gracious. She let us stay with her for 3 days. That's how I got in tune to Superstition Mountain and received all that activity. And so that's basically how I met Cynthia. And so now that I'm moving out to Arizona, she's kind of like an inspiration for me in reference to that type of actually, she helped me to see things differently, more in the unconditional love.
Have you gotten any information about underground bases and or stargates?
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. The underground bases is what I saw in other countries. Okay. And in the ocean. And in the ocean, I saw that. And then the Stargate. Now I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot about that. Sometimes I think I'm going to walk through one. And because I keep on getting woken up in the middle of the night, and I see myself walking the very first time that I saw it was probably about maybe 6 or 7 months ago. And I saw myself walking through this circle, and I saw and I felt myself going through it. And then I, kind of texted Joe and I said, oh wow, this was so cool. Right. And then all of a sudden I had another trance-like state where it was a different scenario. There was a lot of glyphs, that were involved. I kept on thinking like sacred geometry or something like that. And all of a sudden I had this feeling that I became part of those symbols. And then here again, I'm walking through this big circle, this energy thing. And then the third time was really cool because actually that's when I figured out that, it was kind of like a black hole or a wormhole or something where I actually felt myself inside of it traveling into another dimension and actually feeling what it felt like to go through that energy in the Stargate. So I keep on thinking that, and I could be wrong. That could be my ego and saying that I'm going to be walking through a Stargate. And now I'm really fascinated in figuring that one out. So. Okay. So that's,
that's very interesting. And very good to hear. Is there anything else, that you've gotten, either of you, in terms of, just your channeled information? We have about 10 minutes left and, let me see. I have a few questions here, but what I'd like to do is, I have somebody asking, what is the difference between from your point of view, personality, soul, and oversoul.